Calling all you ambitious, overachieving, bossy, I can do it all. Don't bother me, I got this. Type A women, this podcast series, Healing the Hustle, is for you. Hey there, it's Jessica Butts, Front Seat Life all the way, same butt-kicky lady, just in a new chapter, and I'm so excited you're here. We're going to take a journey of healing the hustle as we are more than a year into a global pandemic, and let's be honest, we have all changed. It is time to acknowledge that, accept it, and start a new era of being our best selves without killing ourselves by getting off of the hamster wheel. We can still be our same awesome, ambitious, kick-ass selves while not buying into the BS of the hustle. I have found a new way, and I can't wait to share it with you. So let's start healing the hustle. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is your host, Jessica Butts. I am excited. I'm excited. This has been such a fun and weird, if I'm being honest, process of putting together kind of a book format into a podcast. I have all this content I want to talk to you about, and it's been really fun and interesting and weird to organize it in this way. But today I've got kind of 3, possibly 4, depending on how long I talk, main things I want to talk to you about healing the hustle. So last week in the intro episode, apparently I just talked about everything. I talked about a new chapter and my white privilege and how we're evolving and the funny 40th birthday story about slowing down. Obviously welcomed you back. The bullshit of entrepreneurship going on right now, what I've been doing, and a little bit about how we've all changed from COVID. So a lot in there. And today I want to talk about redefining success, reinventing yourself, and this concept of wise woman that has literally changed my life and most of the people's lives that I've introduced it to over the last year or so. And if we have time, I will talk about intuition being your greatest asset, but I'm going to be honest, I feel like that could be an entire episode, so I might just save that for next week, but we'll see when we get there. So welcome back. Welcome back. I'm super excited to jump in. For you Jays, that was a little bit of organization of what we're going to be talking about for however long this episode is. So part of healing the hustle for me, again, this has been my year. I'm calling it my year of healing the hustle. And part of it is I didn't even realize I was healing the hustle, right? It just kind of came to me as I got super quiet. I shared that in the last episode that during a social media break and during some meditation, some forced meditation, quite honestly, I have discovered that this is what I've been doing. Is that I've been healing my hustle. As you likely, I am absolutely wrapped up in the patriarchy, which is almost impossible not to be in our country. I have been hustling for 10 years. I have been doing all the godforsaken things with my business and entrepreneurship and in my life. And I'm a go-getter and I'm a type A. I'm an ENFJ. I like things in control, right? Look, it's just even my cadence. Like, this is who I am moving forward. Do this. Got to go do this. I'm super bossy. I've got a lot of shit under control. And that has been a big part of my success in my business for sure. And on my 45th birthday, which I'm almost 48, my friend actually reminded me of this. We went to Maui together and I got my first and only tattoo. And it just says B-E, to be, because I am such a doer. And my guess is you are such a doer. That's why you're listening. And we doers, that is our preferred way of being. And when we get into kind of section 1 of the book, I'm going to talk a lot about identifying this need to be busy, because busy is safe. Being vulnerable is very unsafe, especially for us right? This is what we've grown up in controlling, dominating women. A lot of us in the healing industry, if you're a coach or a healer in any way, this becomes our work. We do it at home with our partners. We are in control and taking care of things. And we all of a sudden, we have created this new normal. We have created this dynamic in our lives and in our relationships through, I've got a million things up on my board that I'm going to talk to you about. So there's a lot of different reasons, and this is where I'm putting my therapy hat on and going back into family of origin and the patriarchy and how we're raised, as well as our nature and nurture. So the nature part is there's just certain personality types, J's in particular. So thinking women and J women. We are much, much more controlling. It is our preferred way of being. So again, my friend was reminding me when I came out with Healing the Hustle that she said, wow, girl, it's taken you 2.5 years, almost 3 years to manifest, to fully embrace that being. Because the being is what we're going to be talking about. The being is slowing down. The being is being alone. The being is stopping with the busy, looking outside of ourselves for all this shit to fill us up, Target runs or food or over exercising or over busy or I got to do this and I got to do this is what we have been programmed to believe is success, and it's fucking bullshit. It's not true. It's not true. So if I'm going to put my therapy hat on for a second, back in graduate school, we would talk about a new narrative, right? We have to, again, this is why this is healing, not healed, is because the new narrative has to be built. That we can be successful. We can still grow awesome businesses, right? So you'll notice I'm not doing nothing. I'm doing a podcast. I'm writing a new book. I'm going to do a summer school program. I'm doing all of that. I am not letting go of who I am innately. I'm just doing it in a new way. A new way that my intuition told me, a new way of going inside versus all of the bullshit, the narrative that you have to hustle, you have to be on every social media platform, that you have to respond to every single message, that you have to get back to somebody immediately. I mean, I had an example yesterday. I had somebody reach out to me on Facebook Messenger. And then because I didn't respond within 20 minutes, this person then also sent me a message on Instagram Messenger. And I saw it and I thought, I don't have to get back to this right now. Like, this is not urgent. This is urgent for them potentially, but it is not urgent for me. And I'm doing my day, right? I'm driving around. I'm seeing friends. I'm working. I'm doing things. This does not have to, that's hustling. Is the things outside of us that are, again, total bullshit. That does not have to define us. As you know, my whole thing with Front Seat Life is truly being unapologetically who we are. So again, we are not getting rid of this innateness of wanting to change the world. Right? But what we have to do is what we're going to talk about for the rest of this episode, which is redefining success, reinventing ourselves, and getting clear about what it can look like differently, because that is a human quality to get into a certain belief that I can't make money any other way. I can only see clients this way. I can only live in this kind of house. I can only have this much shit. This is all I believe in. Or I'm never going to make more money than I make right now. Like, that is a fixed mindset. If you've never read that book, Mindset, it's fantastic. The growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. Like, things might be tough right now, but it doesn't mean that you won't make more money or change or evolve or do something different. Okay, so I'm going to get off on a tangent if I don't slow my roll and get into this. So let's talk about redefining success. Okay, so I had kind of during COVID, and I was watching people the online marketing space is pretty ugly. It's pretty ugly. There's a lot of people that, in my opinion, don't really have any qualifications, or I don't know, they just don't really know what they're talking about, and just telling you like, I've got this online program, or I've got this, or I've got a webinar, it's just overwhelming. I mean, can I get an amen? Even if you are like a PhD, it's just overwhelming the amount of information out there. And we as hustlers feel like we have to absorb all of that. We've got to get back to everybody. We've got to be on social. We've got to listen to all the podcasts and read all the books and blah, 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 blah. And I had this just thought of fuck capitalism, basically is what it is. But the nicer version of it was connection over capitalism. So if this is resonating with you, I'd like you to spend a little bit of time thinking about how you could redefine success. So I was at my mastermind group in February of 2020, right before the pandemic hit. And my mastermind group asked me just very lovingly, like, what is your definition of success? And without skipping a beat, I just said money, profit. And in the moment, it hit me pretty hard. I think I shared about this actually on my last episode in July of 2020. And it hit me pretty hard because it was true. And I thought a lot about it for months afterwards. That's really sad. That's really sad that is my metric for success. So I spent a lot of time, many months again, thinking about redefining what success could look like for me as a human being and as an entrepreneur. So that became this thought of connection over capitalism. Because one of the episodes I'm going to do for you is doing a business model for your personality type. Because you can do all the godforsaken models. You can do all of them. But what I have found is that there are different business models that are much better for different personality types. And mine specifically is connection, right? It's talking with you right now. I have to be honest, the online space for me is not really my jam. I don't love a webinar. I don't love talking at people. While I do love a good online course just to put all my content in it, I have found that I am not connecting with my clients, and that feels terrible. I think they don't like it and I don't like it. So I have had to ask myself that question is, what is a redefinition of success? And here's a mind blower or a mic drop, is that it doesn't always have to be forward momentum. I mean, I just blew my own mind with that, right? We think as ambitious, go-getter, type A, go get all the things women or men or they, it doesn't matter. I mean, right. I'm sorry. I should just say everybody, but most of my listeners are women or identify as women, is what is best for you. And that we don't always have to be on this forward, bigger is better trajectory. Bigger is not always better, because when we get into, I don't know, whatever, online courses or just, whatever, we just think we've got to evolve all the time in terms of it getting bigger. But that I have found is not always true. And when we find our jam based on our personality type, and we can get clear about redefining what success looks like, it will change your life. It will change your life. So again, it's not about capitalism. It's about connection. And I'm guessing that most of you listening could fill in your own word. Again, for me, it was connection, and it might be something different for you. But I don't believe that the majority of my listeners, and there's other groups that it's all about capitalism. I don't give a shit. Go follow those people, but it's not really, you're not listening because that's what it's about. It's not all about money. Yes, I believe money is important. Yes, it gives you freedom, but it also is this trap of healing the hustle. I will tell you right now, $1 million business looks really fucking different than a $500,000 business. And a $500,000 business looks very, very different than $100,000 business. And it's a lot of work. I've done almost all of those, and I guess I'm just being transparent. I have no interest in running a team. And that's what happens when you get to, for sure, 750-ish, you run a team. And I actually really like my clients. I like to connect with people. I like to be with them in the moment. I like to meet them where they're at. And it's this weird dynamic of like, all of a sudden, all I'm doing all day is managing my team 5 days a week. It was just the weirdest thing to me. So here's the deal. Yes, money gives you freedom. Money is security. Money is great. And it is not the end all be all. So what I'm asking you to do is to consider redefining success. So is success freedom? Is success working 3 days a week? Is success connecting with your clients? What is it for you? The next question I want to pose to you is a big one. And we're going to talk more about this in a coming episode that I've already gotten excited to talk to you about. But asking yourself the question, when is enough enough? We live in a very interesting country. I'm in the United States, and we live in a country, and this might be in other countries as well, but I'm not super educated on that. But in the United States, it is bigger is better. And you get a better car when you make more money. And it's all about making more money and getting to the next level and becoming a manager or growing your business and having a team and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And for God's sake, that is part of the hustle. It is part of being on the hamster wheel of the hustle. And so again, I just want to be very clear. I have been on this path. I was there right before COVID hit. We were hiring people we were about to hire somebody, and I literally didn't even know what they were going to do. But my assistant was like, we need this person. And I was like, okay, fine, great, whatever. And I had this huge team. Things were out of control. I describe it as like I was on a train that I could not get off. It was out of control, blowing up. There were so many moving pieces. And I kept thinking, like, how do I simplify this? When is enough enough? And everybody is different. That's okay. If you want a $10 million business, knock yourself out. But I also think you need to be aware of the hustle that comes with doing that. So that's the question, is when is enough enough? When is enough shit enough shit? It's April 1st on the day that I'm recording this, and I am starting the purge thing. I don't know what to call it. A purge challenge, I guess. So my sister is really into this, and I decided I've just been considering like different lifestyles. Like, what if I lived in a tiny home? What if I was portable? What if I just didn't, whatever. I'm just really considering freedom because it's one of my number one core values, and it's my definition of success. So today is the day, and every day of the days of the month, you throw away that many things or give away or donate. And it is just an interesting to me of when is enough enough, right? It's so easy to buy stuff. It's so easy to go to Target. So easy just to get one more pair of earrings at Target for $7.99, but then they come home and they're just part of I probably have 200 pairs. Like, that's insanity. I was talking to someone about tiny home living, and they were like, do you understand that you get like 3 pairs of shoes? And I just couldn't even comprehend that, right? So this is, again, I'm not perfect. I'm healing. I have not perfected this. I hope you know I'm not talking at you. I'm talking with you, because I do not have this shit figured out. I am not those dudes on minimalist. That is for damn sure. So, but when is enough enough? When is a house big enough? When is the next car the next best thing? When is all the more clothes and more stuff? And we're consumed with it in America. This is the United States definition of success, is that you have a whole bunch of shit. Even if you go into debt. Dave Ramsey's book is super, super basic, but man, it changed my life when I got divorced and was kind of starting all over about paying off debt and not living beyond your means. And we just don't do that in our country. So again, I am no financial advisor, like, let's get real, but asking yourself that question, when is enough enough? So when I first started this process, which was many, many months ago, I went through and was looking at my expenses, and in about 15 minutes, I had identified $8,000 a month that I could cut. It was very, very eye-opening. And I got really real because, right, you get on the train and the train starts taking off and you're like, I've got this team member and I'm paying for this thing and I'm paying for this thing. And I've been in business 10 years. So I've got all these expenses and all these things and team members over here and people doing stuff and blah, 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 blah. And I just sat down, got really honest with myself, and I laughed out loud. I actually don't think I cried. I laughed out loud, and then I got really mad at myself that I had not stopped to redefine what success was, that I was absolutely in this capitalist cycle, and I had not decided when is enough enough. And part of that is massively looking at your expenses, especially as a business owner. Where are we spending money that we may not need to? And then again, how does that define your level of success? So none of my listeners are, oh, my success is my fancy ass car and like showing off. Like, that's not who you guys are. So I don't even think I need to talk about that, because if that's who you are, you can go follow somebody else who's into all that. So that's number one. That was number one, is redefining success, connection over capitalism, or whatever your word is. And when is enough enough? Okay. Number one. Number two, looking at this as an opportunity, this being healing the hustle, redefining success, 1 year into a global pandemic, of reinventing yourself. That we get to evolve. I shared the story last episode of my mom kind of asking, like, what are your clients going to think about this? And I thought, yeah, some of them might hate it or whatever, but I am a firm believer in evolving as a human being. And so this is a new evolution. So reinventing yourself allows you to look at, where are you in your life? Are you 47 or 57 or 27? Are you married or just growing? Or for me, going through perimenopause I'm in it still. And it's like this mind-blowingly interesting experience for me of what my body is telling me to do. And so everybody's going to be at a different position. But if you have not changed dramatically in some way during COVID, you're also probably not listening to this, because we are all about personal development and looking at ourselves and how we're evolving and how we're changing. So inviting yourself to redefine success and also allowing yourself to reinvent yourself. You do not have to stay the same person, right? Not meaning personality type, because that is always the same, but you do not have to stay the same. You can fucking move if you want to move. You can break up with somebody if you want to break up with somebody. You can give away all of your belongings. You can start a new business. You can write a book. You can change your body if you want. You can do whatever. You can reinvent yourself. So what does that look like? I'm going to give you a basic step number one, because it's a pretty involved process, hence an entire book about it and summer school program and podcast. But here's step one. Here's step one, is I'd like you to consider, what are your rocks? I really wish I knew who to give credit to this to. I think it's Stephen Covey. I'm pretty positive it's Stephen Covey. So let's just go with that. Is rocks. And so the concept is you have two cylinders, okay? And one is filled with sand and one is filled with rocks. And this is really obvious. You've probably heard this before, but if you try to put the rocks in the sand, they're going to not fit. But if you start with the rocks and you pour the sand into the rock cylinder, it's all going to fit. But you have to start with your rocks. So if you are a visual person, you might actually go get rocks. But what I want you to do, if anybody has my journal, I talk about rocks in there, of getting very clear about time blocking and what your rocks are. So it's called Be Unapologetically Who You Are, by the way, and you can get it on Amazon if you'd like. Is rocks are the top, probably only 7-ish, 5 to 7, maybe 8 most important things in your life. Meaning you don't start with all the sand. And let me just be clear what the sand is. Let's just start there. The sand is that example of this person's urgent message to me. That's not my rock. My rock yesterday was doing good work with my clients, taking care of my body, eating great, healthy food, and seeing my friends. That's what I did yesterday. And so in no way, shape, or form am I going to stress myself out to respond to this sand, right? That is sand and it is stressful. Rocks are, I'm just going to make a suggestion that your number one rock be yourself. It should be the biggest one in the cylinder. And, moms push back on this. A lot of people push back on this, but I'm not a mother, but I know that you can't be a good mom or a partner or a business owner or a friend or anything if you are not taking care of yourself. So that should be number one, meaning how much time. So here's another super important, quote, if you will, is your calendar shows you what's important to you. Your calendar or schedule shows you what's important to you. So I bet if most of you go and look at your calendar and your number one rock is yourself, I bet it's the last thing on your schedule. I bet it's a million other things, right? Friends and PTA things and getting back to people and social media and scrolling bullshit and talking to people on fucking social media that you don't even know. That has become the most, I think, eye-opening thing to me as I've gotten older is just, I in no way, shape, or form am going to argue with people I literally don't know. And then caring about things that are none of your fucking business or trying to change somebody, stay on your side of the net. I promise we'll talk a ton about codependency, but it's just fascinating to me how much sand people deal with. Other people's issues. That is not your fucking business. That is not your business. So number one is, what are you doing every day, once a week, weekends, whatever? Negotiating this with your partner, telling your kids about this, whatever you need to do. But this, there's a quote that I just somebody shared with me yesterday that, let's normalize that free time or my time does not mean it's open for scheduling, right? So when I have free time, it's my time. I have on my calendar Thursday afternoons, that is my time for friends. That does not mean all day, every night of the week. I am my most important vessel. I am my most important rock. So that is the number one thing when I am reinventing myself, is to get clear, because my intuition is my greatest asset. My internal is my greatest asset. But what I experience is that most people have no fucking idea what that is, because they are constantly putting stuff into their system. TV, other people, other people's opinions, scrolling social, what's going on with this? I'm going to be honest, other people's podcasts. I mean, I thank you for listening, but this is also input, different books, different coaches. I mean, I believe nobody should ever have more than one coach at a time. It's just overwhelming. All right. We've got to perfect things before we move on. Okay. So number one, rock is you. And then here are some suggestions. Your partner, if you have one, whether that be, whatever, your partner, your intimate partner, if you have one. Your children, obviously. I don't have them, but I think each child is its own rock. And again, do whatever you want to do, but your children, and if you have 3 of them, that might be 3 separate rocks. Your immediate circle of people. So that might be family, or it might not be. You might not be in relationship with your family, or whoever your immediate circle is, your best friends, the people in your inner circle, your health, which might be part of you, but it might be separate. Like if you are a mega worker outer or a mega jazzercise person or a mega whatever, that might be a community that's very important to you. And then your work, like whatever you're doing for work, and then some sort of hobby, if you have one. I didn't have one for 10 years because I've been hustling. Now I have one. I love taking pictures and I am into cooking right now. So that's it for me. That's it. And that might shock the shit out of a lot of people. So that's the second thing I'm asking you to do is look at what are your rocks? And then if you would like some extra credit, which by the way, if you join summer school, we're going to be walking through this at a much slower pace and I will walk you through this for sure. But then it comes with putting those rocks, time blocking that shit on your calendar, because this is what I experience with a lot of different personality types is that they don't know they have free time, right? And so they don't know what to do. And then they got on social media and they scroll, or we spend however many hours on TikTok. And don't get me wrong. I love me some TikTok. I love it. It's just joyful and I love it. But that is also part of my free time. But I'm also not corresponding with total fucking strangers on there. And that is not taking up any energy. And everybody has different things. Lovingly, my mom reaches out to my sister and I on Marco Polo every morning and kind of asks us if we, have watched the entire Biden whatever press conference. And, we laugh a little bit of like, no, we're not retired. Like we're not, that is definitely not one of my rocks. And it is hers, which is, there's no judgment, but this is why we got to figure this out, right? And we push back lovingly on her of like, yeah, no, because remember, we have jobs. Though there's other things going on other than watching the entire 4-hour news conference or whatever. So again, I know that sounds really judgy, but I think you know what I mean. Like everybody just has different priorities. And that is not one of my rocks, is watching a news conference with our wonderful new president. Like it's just, I'm super happy we have one, and this is not how I'm going to spend my time. Okay. So let's end with, and you're right. I'm you're right. I'm right that I am not going to get to intuition as your greatest asset. So I will save that for another episode, but let's end this with one of my favorite tools of all time. And if you are into this and you're listening, this is something that is going to really probably change your life. And again, I hope you'll join for summer school when we get to that, because we're going to dig in pretty deep to this. I'm going to do a really cool meditation with you, not meditation, a guided visualization for you. And so one of the things that I love to play with is the concept of a wise woman. So I was just talking to a private client yesterday who is 100% still in the hustle, over it, doesn't want to do it anymore. And I asked her, do you have a visual? Do you have somebody in your life that you would consider a wise woman? And she did. And she kept saying she's so cool. She's so cool. And I was like, that's great. I love that. I love it. So that is someone that she gets to visualize as somebody who she thinks is cool and or is living a cool boundary kind of life. So I would like you to think about your wise woman self. What do they look like? How do they act in the world? How do they feel in the world? And I want you to start embodying her. So my mom is one of them. She is retired and it's just delightful. She just has this amazing life. And I often think like, this is a great life. Like she's not on social media. She doesn't give a shit about any of that. She has super close friendships. She plays pickleball every day. She has great food. She takes care of her body. She hangs out with her dog. She hangs out with her daughters. Like that is a wise woman lifestyle. And to add into that, there is a level of boundary setting that is like off the charts that we hustlers don't have. So I'm going to do another episode with my dear friend Nadia Aarons, and we're going to talk about people pleasing because I realize that is also part of my problem and a lot of people's problems is that we are in this world where, right, everybody can contact us. And so we are in a people pleasing of, oh my God, they didn't like this or, oh, this or that or whatever. And it becomes, that is not what wise women do. Wise women take time for themselves. Wise women set boundaries like a boss, right? I'm just going to make some other suggestions. Wise women may meditate every day. Wise women may go slowly through their day. Wise women may take extraordinary amounts of time for self-care. Wise women also probably love on their main people a lot. Wise women do not waste time on things that don't matter, people that don't matter. It doesn't mean they're bad. It just means they don't matter to you or things that don't matter. I think wise women spend time doing things and spend time with people that bring them joy, that lift them up. They most certainly do not care about arguing with strangers on the internet. They also can set boundaries if that is part of your business of like, fine, that's your opinion. It has nothing to do with me. Your wise woman might be calm. She might be grounded. She might be centered. She might be loving and caring. She might have an extraordinarily long morning practice. She may rest, eat healthy food, let the day unfold. And my guess is she doesn't have a very long to-do list. And if she does, it might be a 2-week to-do list. I'm going to share a quick story before we close. Yesterday, I did my first podcast episode yesterday, and then I felt good about doing one this morning. But 2 weeks ago, I actually had a COVID scare. I got sick. So I had a Monday and Tuesday completely free. My groups weren't meeting on Mondays, which is normally a very busy day for me. And then Tuesdays are my days to be off. I have a day in the middle of the week where I just paddleboard or walk or whatever. But instead, I decided I was going to write and podcast all day. I mean, come on. I know myself better than that. You're not going to do that. But I put all this pressure on me to do it. And I got sick. Sunday night, I started to get super sick. I woke up Monday. I was kind of terrified that I had COVID. And then Tuesday, I went and got a COVID test. I'm bawling my brains out. I'm just a mess. I'm embarrassed. I'm mad at myself, like all the stuff. And so I wasted, in air quotes, 2 days. And that was 2 weeks ago. And yesterday I realized I'm not behind at all. Like, that is so powerful to admit that and say that out loud, that I was in such a gosh darn hurry. I was so anxious on my fucking to-do list that I had all the stuff I needed to do, that I wasn't allowed to have any free time, that I had to get this done. And the reality is I didn't. I have all the time I need. Granted, you still got to get some shit done, right? We still have to do. But yesterday it brought me to tears, is bringing me to tears again, thinking like I had all the time I needed. I'm doing this on the 1st. That's unheard of for me, that this isn't going to air for 2 more weeks. That's unheard of for me. And so it's also rethinking. This is part of redefining success. To me, having Tuesdays off in the middle of the week is absolutely success. To sleep in, to paddleboard, to see friends, to take walks, to cook my HelloFresh, to maybe garden, to do whatever I want. And as soon as I went back on it, the universe got me sick. By the way, I did not have COVID. So I did not. I've been very careful, so I would have been really mad, but I did not. But the universe got me sick. It was such a message. It was such a message of like, healing, girl, healing. My God, knock it off, sister. Knock it off. Chill. And then to realize I have all the time in the world to reinvent myself, to redefine myself, to redefine success, reinvent myself, make sure what my rocks are. Number 1 is me. And then asking again and playing with this idea of your wise woman. Who are they? That's such a fun exercise. All right, my loves, it's 41 minutes in. I'm not going to go into intuition as greatest asset. I'm going to end it there. I've been teasing you a little bit about some of the fun new episodes coming up. So stay tuned. I will also say, if I would love for you to share this, like this is just unabashedly, like I'm asking for love. If you love these episodes, can you share them? If you share it on Instagram and tag me, I will absolutely like add it to my stories and promote you and say thank you and I love you. But, I think this is a really important message. And for whatever reason, God picked me to talk about it. There's other wonderful people doing patriarchy, stress disorder, and the burnout book. But I believe that God dropped this on me. I believe that about all the work I've ever done. This is not me. This is God. He's given me this idea to talk about. And so that's it. So if you're into it and you think other people need to hear it, I would just lovingly ask that you share it on social or wherever, as they drop. And because the bottom line is, let's spread this message. We need a fucking break. We need a new way of being. We need a new definition of success. We need to reinvent ourselves. We need to be able to have better relationships with ourselves and others. And oh my goodness. All right, cutie pies. I will see you next week. Okay, bye. From the bottom of my heart, truly, thank you so much for listening. I know that you have a ton of options, and the fact that you are taking time to listen to the Front Seat Life podcast means absolutely everything to me. If you're interested in learning more about the Front Seat Life way of life in the community, you can find out all about that at jessicabutts.com. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.